All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Alexandria House Community Relations Committee May meeting. Tonight, we have two really special guests. We have Carolyn Griffin, who's the producing artistic director of Metrostage and its mother and everything. And we also have architect Skip Maginniss, who has apparently designed 4 Metrostages at different locations in Alexandria. Metrostage has been part of our community since 1984, and most recently was at 1201 North Royal Street in what used to be the smooth lumber area, which is now being redeveloped by the car companies. So Metrostage will be moving to Crown Plaza next year, and we're here to get a preview of the interior design plan for the theater and hear how they're going to do the build out. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Carolyn, who'll give you a little bit of background, and then we'll have Skip come on and show us some drawings. And then after their presentation, we'll open it up for a Q&A. So Carolyn?
Great. Thank you, Agnes. I'm delighted to be here. I love Alexandria House. I've been to many meetings there. And as I was saying earlier, we have 2 board members who live there, and you've had many of your residents have been to the theater. I'm just delighted we're able to stay in North Old Town. As Agnes said, we were up at 1201 North Royal Street from 2001 to 2019. I remember when Bob Craddock, who owned the Smoot Lumber Company, would meet with Skip and me, and we'd leave a meeting and he'd say to me, Carolyn, I just never imagined that building being a theater. He was probably 80 some years old at the time, or 90. And he was very darling the way he embraced the idea once we put it into his head that could be a theater. But what I want to do first is introduce Skip Maginniss, Alexandria architect. As Anya said, he has built 4 theaters. He has designed 4 theaters for us. We started out over on Duke Street in a strip shopping center right across from the future King Street Metro. 2 different storefronts. One was next door to a karate studio. So there were times when we were competing with the karate chops with our shows. But you do what you have to do when you're in a storefront. And then we moved down the way. But Skip has been with us all along, and I couldn't be more appreciative because he does understand Metrostage and understand me, and I think we really get some great results out of amazing spaces, and that's what you're going to see next. So Skip, let me introduce you and welcome you and thank you for coming today and bringing some of your designs and some renderings. This is actually the first time the public has actually seen some of these designs. So this is exciting for us to show them to you, and we hope you'll be just as excited as we are. So Skip, take it away.
Hey, perfect. So Inez, if we can affect the screen sharing system here like we did earlier.
I think you should be able to.
Okay, let me see what I've got here. Okay, so let's go to this. And
coming.
Hopefully that will. Do you see it?
Yes.
Full screen? Okay, perfect. Amazing. So as Carolyn said, this is Metrostage and still off Broadway and on the river's edge. In fact, we're a little closer to the river, I think, Carolyn.
Closer than on the river.
But always on the river. So now we just need to make sure that we can navigate, which I should be able to do. Perfect. I think it's working. So now you can see what you will see from the park roughly as you pass by the new stage, the new Metrostage location. The facade is totally transparent. At night, it's going to be a beautiful feature in North Old Town. It'll actually be a work of art in itself. And as you can see by looking through, and we'll go over how you get in and the flow in a minute, but I think it's important to see how this will contribute to the streetscape and to the space in Old Town and become a wonderful element, artistic element in itself in North Old Town. And you can see through this, this slide here that the entrance as you will go down into the theater per se will be very visible and inviting and open to see. So then we're going to go to a plan of the upper level. And just to orient you, let's call this oriented according to the compass directions. So north is up, east is right, etc. Fairfax is to the left. The view you were looking at prior is a view that looks sort of through the sidewalk area and into the front of a large lobby that will span all the way from the north side around to the south side. Entrance to the theater per se will be on the north side through an entrance lobby where they'll have access to a lift. And then through that lobby vestibule into the upper lobby per se. This is going to be a very generous space, and it will be used in conjunction with the theater. Carolyn will give you more ideas about how that space will be used and some of the ideas of that space. The other functional piece on this floor is just the tech room, basically the control room or tech room for the theater. But access to the theater will be down through these generous stair in the middle, which heads down and then winds back down, and you'll land on the lower lobby below. And so on the lower lobby, you will land where you see gallery and where you see the stairs coming down and a red arrow showing the stairs going up. If you came by the lift, you would land just north of that around where it says lift, and then you would walk around through the gallery spaces. And again, Carolyn will give you more information about her ideas for those spaces to where it says tickets or the box office and concession area. There's a large lower lobby area in this portion as well. So in combination, the lower lobby is really a flowing space that will extend all the way from where the box office and the concession is around through all around through the other side by virtue of the fact that these gallery spaces are going to be populated with artwork and other special graphics related to the theater. Entrance to the theater per se will be through a door either stage right or stage left. You can see them top and bottom, north and south. And there are two seating components to the theater. The first component is actually a cabaret type seating that's in between the stage and the first risers of a tiered section. So the tiered section will be more like fixed seating, but the portion directly in front of the stage will be a cabaret style of seating, and the two in combination will accommodate plus or minus 109 persons. That's a little flexible because it depends on how you arrange the chairs and the tables and such. But the stage is designed in such a way, and the house is configured in such a way that it optimizes, in particular, musical events. We've been very careful with the acoustics in this in this space. And it's going to be, as I say, really optimized for music, musicals, and do perfectly well and do wonderfully for drama as well. Sort of technically, there will be a storage area to one side, and then on the north side is where sort of we call the back of the house as a global term will be. That's accommodating the green room, storage, wardrobes, dressing, toilets, etc. for cast. And then as you come down south again to the south side of the lower floor, you'll see that there's an office space and then separate toilet rooms that serve the theater. At this point, I'm going to navigate Carolyn to a couple of the renderings, and maybe you can pick up at that point on some of your thoughts about how the other spaces, will be used. So Carolyn, you can go ahead.
Oh, you want me to start? Okay. Okay, this is the interior. Obviously, we have the raised stage like we had in the old space. We have the steeply raked audience on the risers. And what we're adding this time for flexibility and fun is our cabaret seating. Now, this is not exactly the way it's going to look with tables. I think the tables are too big and those are the wrong kind of chairs, but it gives you the idea of the space and the configuration and how it will work. So you'll have opportunities, you'll have your choice if you want to sit at a table and have a bottle of wine and do whatever, during a show, that's fine. If you want to sit in a nice, comfortable seating with nice, when we say this, a steep rake means really good visibility. It's always been a pride of mine that in the other space, we had such good visibility because we had a steeper rake than most, certainly more than auditorium seating usually offers you. So this is just a side view of the stage. Here again, we'll have what we call the semi-thrust stage, just like we had in the old space, because that gives you more of an immediacy and more intimacy, a closer access to what's going on stage. So that's one view. Skip, you want to show another? Okay, here's another. And this is kind of fun. The artist who did this used our cabaret, our wonderful actor, Roz White, who's done so many shows with us, and William Knowles at the piano. And this was during one of her cabarets actually at Metrostage, but we put her on our stage just to show you the possibilities of cabaret type offerings that we can have. We'll have our baby grand piano back on stage that we have in storage right now at my daughter's house. And we can do all kinds of drama and musicals and cabarets and presentations on this stage under these conditions with tables and chairs. And you can see just at the very lower edge of the rendering, you'll start to see where the audience is seated on risers. So you get a sense that the audience is looking over the heads of the people at the tables and chairs, but everybody will have a good view of the stage. And okay, so Skip, next. Okay, and this is a fun rendering of the concession bar area, and you'll see in that far towards the right, towards the back, the box office. So you saw on the drawing that Skip showed earlier where this is on the southern edge of the building. There over in that part of the lobby, and we'll have a fun, we'll have better than house wine and we'll upgrade a little. Let's just say we're upgrading a little bit from the variety of things we offered last time. I'm really hoping that we'll have, I plan to have signature cocktails that will go with different shows and be chosen. Some other theaters are doing this. It's not necessarily an original idea, but it's fun when you can offer the usual offerings. And then for a show, we did a Cuban show one time and we offered Cuba Libres and mojitos, and that was really grand fun. So we'll do something like that to make the bar a little more exciting this time, and it'll look really very beautiful, and it'll be right next to, conveniently located next to the box office. So that's that edge along the one side of the theater. Is there, and so this is it for the renderings. Skip, let's go back to, can you go back to your blueprint drawing of the lower level? Keep going to yes. I'm really very excited about the opportunity to offer this cabaret seating in addition to the risers. It just gives us it just gives us flexibility. I've even thought, there may be a time when we put audience on the stage and have a performance on that space between the risers and the stage. And the bottom line is it's enormously flexible and gives us a lot of opportunities, and also the audience in terms of where they'd like to be viewing and participating. So we will, as we always have, allow drinks into the theater. So it does give you a fun time to, I don't know how many of you have been to Blues Alley, but think of that first little area where the cabaret seats are, a little mini Blues Alley in Alexandria. The bottom line here is we have a fabulous opportunity. It's a beautiful space. Before I even go into that, what Skip has been able to do with this space is nothing short of miraculous. See those black squares scattered around? Those are structural columns. This had to be, because this is a 13-story building and it's holding up condos above us. We had to work around structural columns. They could not be moved. So this is why we have a rather grand entrance. We wouldn't necessarily cut a whole big grand entrance out of the middle of our audience for people to use as an entrance. But there's a column there. So what we did was we made that the booth for you always want the soundboard operator in the house because of acoustics and auditory issues. And so we said, well, if we've got to have a column there and there's going to be a staircase there, we might as well put our soundboard up there. So there will be a tech person there operating sound, though I can't point, but where the tech booth is on the lower part of the audience, on the bottom part, the tech is above that.
If you can see my cursor.
Oh, there's your pointer. Thank you, Skip. The light board up, the stage manager, projectionist, people, those that will contain the rest of the tech, but our sound as necessary is in the house and right there next to our structural column. So anyway, I'm in awe of how we could create something so clever and so nice and so useful around multiple structural issues. So there you go. So to do this, well, let me go back to, maybe 4 years ago, when I was sat down, when some people came to the theater, sat me down in my lobby and said, Carolyn, we've sold the property. We're going to tear it down. We're putting in condos, but we'll build you a new theater. So I said, well, this is bad news and good news. I'm not sure which is how to handle this right now. But anyway, what's the great thing about this is it's the car company, and they are such a responsible, remarkable group of developers to work with. The crazy thing is that in 1984, when this theater was founded, Oliver Carr gave us our first rent-free space over on, well, first in Shirlington and then over on Duke Street, where we ended up putting in our first theater. So this has truly gone full circle since 1984. We are still dealing with the Carr company. Oliver Carr is still showing up at work every day, and he's in his mid-90s, and he still remembers the days in the 80s when he gave us rent-free space on Duke Street. So anyway, so here we are now in a central, beautiful location in North Old Town, across from the park, as Skip said. And one of the things I want to mention is the opportunity we have in this location across from the park for putting the park into greater use from an entertainment standpoint. We're talking to the city, the developers are talking to the city. We would love to see that park, now that everybody's doing more outdoor work anyway, and people have found how much they love to do things outdoors. It will probably continue even after we can go inside again. So having a performance space, an entertainment band shell or something with electricity and lights and sound in that park for different events, I think it'll obviously be shared with other groups, but it does give Metrostage an opportunity to expand even further, to do outside things in the spring and summer and fall, as well as inside things. So that's one of the beauties of this location and being across from the park. The other thing I want to say is the Carr company from the beginning wanted this to be a showpiece, and they are the ones who came up with the design of the exterior 3 walls of glass. So it really will be tremendously visible from the street for anybody going by. Skip, can you put the slide on with the entrance from the street view, because I want to mention this opportunity, what I'm calling a gallery walk on that inside these glass walls. We have a tremendous amount of wall space, and we are going to have amazing lighting. So day and night, people will be able to see the interior, this gallery walk, and we'll have an opportunity to display, vibrant, beautiful art. This particular piece, I just will tell you, is by Barbara Januszkiewicz. I discovered her at the Athenaeum. She had an exhibit at the Athenaeum a few years ago, if you might have seen it, and I just flipped for her art. It's all she's part of the Washington Color School, or she was influenced by the Washington Color School, and Sam Gilliam and that crowd made Washington very famous during, I'm not sure what decade that was, but anyway, she does beautiful art. She has a studio in Falls Church, and we're working together to bring her art into the theater, because I think anybody going down Fairfax Street to have a gallery walk visible and with vibrant, beautiful art will certainly get the attention of the passerby, and they'll know something fabulous is going on. And since we are the anchor for the Arts District, it's only right that we should be highly visible and be very as exciting as we can make ourselves. So there you go for the entrance. So really now getting down to the basics is we have been given a 30-year lease, rent-free, by the Oliver Carr company, by the Carr company as they go now. We will be paying condo fees and have a lot more electricity to pay for than we ever did before, but they've given us a remarkable opportunity. But we are responsible for the interior. I think they call it the fit out, or I think it's called the fit out of the space. So we're responsible for all those interior walls and all of the finish work, and all of everything that's required inside that theater. and outside in the lobby and otherwise. Skip has, it's hard to know because he's coordinating with the designers and everybody from the condo building itself, but we're estimating that it's about a $1.5 million project. Now, Roundhouse just renovated their theater for 34 million. Woolley just got a grant and had to redo their lobby for 6 million. 1.5 million is nothing in the scheme of things for most theaters. It's a lot for Metrostage. And so we're putting together a package of all the information that we need, all the pictures, just to get people to really have a handle on really what we're bringing to the place. And we are looking for donations. Obviously, I've put together a list of naming opportunities. If you want your name on a wall, if you want your name on a chair, if you want your name over the stage, over the concessions area, we will be. There aren't a lot of foundations that give to bricks and mortar. There are a few. We'll be applying to those. The city is looking into some things for us, but we really do need everybody to understand that this is our gift to you, and we need your gift to us, because we will do everything we can to bring something extraordinary to your neighborhood, but we can't do it alone. And right now, I have literally gotten contributions from $5 to 50,000. So that gives you a nice range to play with in terms of, if you are interested in donating, it's obviously a tax deductible donation. We're the definition of nonprofit, that's for sure, but it's a nonprofit theater, so corporation, so it is a tax deductible donation. But I would love for everybody at Alexandria House who is going to have an opportunity to walk a few blocks to see fabulous talent and artistry in, the next year, to think about how they can help us with a donation. So I would direct you to our website. I think we've put together a very user-friendly, informative website. It obviously will tell you what we're doing virtually. We've done some virtual play readings so far, and we have something coming up that's really quite exciting with Quintango and some musicians and poetry and some fun things coming up very soon. But the website also has a lot of information about the new theater, and we'll have even more information once I get my naming opportunities put together properly. And there'll be a lot of information on how you can participate, how you can help us make this a reality, because in the scheme of things with theaters and what they have to do to get their spaces up and running, it's not a lot, but we need all the help we can get. So I think maybe, Skip, unless I've totally forgotten something, maybe we should turn it over to questions now. I think some have come in through the chat room. Agnes, are you going to?
Yes, I'll read from the chat. So whoever, maybe let's take it off of the shared screen and get back to the grid of people. And then if you have a question, please type it into the chat and I will read them off one by one. Okay, how do we get? Oh, I think we're back. Okay, wonderful. I actually have a question of my own to kick things off. Let me turn myself back on here. Since it's obvious that the building is still being constructed, and since you're still fundraising, and you've indicated earlier an early 2022 opening, I'm trying to get the timeline straight. Like, once you have the money, how long will it take to do the build out, and what's the earliest possible date you would open?
Well, I can tell you that the car company is saying that I think the the townhouses may be available the very end of 2021 and the rest opening in 2022, early 2022. So, and they would like very much for the condos and the theater to open simultaneously. I would say we probably don't need to have all of the money before we start the build out, but we need to have a substantial amount of it. We have some, but we need a lot more, and we need the big gifts, the foundation gifts, the corporate gifts, the naming gifts to start making some real headway. So there's a lot of unknown because they're not ready for us to start yet.
Right.
And it's it's amazing how much faster when you level something over on 1201 and how fast it goes up when it's leveled compared to how, converting this building. It seems like there's a lot to be done before it shows real progress. So I can't be any more specific than that. We need to start raising substantial money and be well on our way. And I remember when we were building out 1201 and we really were waiting for the final dollar to come in before we started. And I remember it being around Thanksgiving and I calling Skip and saying, okay, Skip, we got it, let's go. And he got everybody, and it started and it opened in about 6 months. So that was pretty exciting. But there's a lot of moving parts here. There's a lot we can do. We will get started when we need to get started, and we will continue to, work through, the rest of the year and into 2022. There are certainly opportunities. If somebody wanted to give a substantial gift and divide it up into 21 and 22, there's no reason why that couldn't happen, because as long as we have a promise of the gift, we know we'll have it. We work with John Marshall Bank and Carrie Donnelly, and there's we can work around all this. We will make, I can give you my word, we will make this happen. And but we do need, we need everybody to understand that I've been telling people for several years, we've been given a new theater and it's going to cost money. I don't know how much, and I don't know how much I'm going to need, but just keep that in mind. This doesn't happen miraculously for free.
Another question is, have you already decided what your first production will be in the new theater?
Yes, but I'm not telling.
I was afraid that would be the answer.
There are so many things in the works, and, we'll want to make a pretty big splash when we open, because there's so much interest in the theater and what we're going to be doing. And I'm just, I spend half my day trying to figure out how to raise the money, and the other half going through plays and following up on things and dealing with playwrights and finding work that I think would fit with our mission and be of interest to our audiences. Because as you know, we just don't pull out Neil Simon and do a Neil Simon. We do things that are less frequently done, or original things. And we have a special little niche, I think. And anybody who's been to the theater, it was mentioned, our production of Three Sisters was mentioned, I think, before everybody got on. And it's unique work. It's unique to us, and it will continue to be. But I follow every lead, because you just never know. I never know when I'm going to hit the jackpot and find something that is perfect for Metrostage, and something that I think is inherently important, interesting, and entertaining. So there you go.
We're looking forward to it, whatever it is. That'll be fun. Here's a question from the audience on the architecture side. What will be the rise of the stage from the floor? The rendering seems to show different heights.
So that's a little bit flexible. It's going to be a fixed distance of 12 inches, and then that can be increased for this particular production or the particular use. We did that actually at the old theater. We raised the level of the stage from time to time, or raked it for the production. But it has sort of a base level of 12 inches is the answer.
It's a little lower. It's, I think 18 inches was the stage in the old theater. This is a little bit lower, but still a nice rise. Some theaters, you know, some of the smaller theaters really operate off the ground, off the floor. We would never do that. So we have a rise so that visibility is enhanced. But as Skip said, depending on the set design, you can have any number of levels above that, as we have always done in the past.
Another question is, where will the musicians be?
Depends on the show. We have plenty of room. We do not have an orchestra pit. We've never had an orchestra pit. I'm not interested in orchestra pits. We love seeing our musicians. We have fabulous musicians. I love watching them. And in almost every case over the last 18 years of productions, they were visible almost, 99% of the time. Sometimes we did put them off in the wing, but there's any number of places they can be positioned depending on the show, is all I can say. We will have our baby grand there. Skip has promised me it fits through the door on stage, stage right or left, I forget. But it will be able to be wheeled off, as opposed to, remember, in the old space, it was under the staircase and I had to have the piano movers come every time and take the legs off. And it's amazing the legs still fit on it. It's been moved so many times, but it will be able to be wheeled off and wheeled on, which will make our life a lot easier. And so even having a piano like that is on the stage and available means that somebody could come in for one performance, a gig, some off night, and there's a piano there waiting for them, that we can get right out there on a stage and be ready. So but most of the time, since we do not do orchestras, we can't afford orchestras, our shows don't need orchestras. We've had up to about 6 musicians, more likely a trio or maybe 4 max. There's the piano, bass, and drums, and you can always throw in a guitar, and then we had 2 horns one time. So we can go up to about 6, but we have a manageable number of musicians, and they can fit any number of places on the stage.
Carolyn, I might mention, in conjunction with the stage size is actually about the almost identical size as it was at 1201. So there's been no reduction in the actual stage area. So whatever we put on at 1201, we certainly will be able to put on here.
Great.
Thank you. Will there be a billboard? I assume maybe that means an exterior marquee or something that indicates what's playing on the outside.
That really, I'm sure there will be. We haven't determined that yet. It's very important. I'm more interested in how our signage, in terms of how visible the Metrostage signage is, so that anybody passing by, I was tucked away in a parking lot for 18 years. So I'm pretty excited to be street level visible to the passers-by. So we've really focused more on the signage, and there, we've talked about everything from a big television screen scrolling through, advertising the production that's on right now, or, there's any number of things, and it's, we'll figure it all out, but there will have to be some place where it tells what's playing, and we'll figure it out.
Okay. Next question is this accessible? I assume that means handicap accessible.
Absolutely. We would never have anything that wasn't accessible. It's not even legal to, and certainly with on the unions we work with, we wouldn't be allowed to do anything like that. So yes, we have an elevator. We have any number of places where we can see wheelchairs. Skip, do you want to go into further detail, because it's everything has to be designed accessible to pass code or zoning or whatever one does in the city. Skip?
Yes, exactly. All the spaces in the theater are accessible, with the exception of the risers. But there's plenty of space on the main floor where the cabaret seating is. And then in front of the first riser, there's space for wheelchairs, for example, if needed. So we have spaces that far exceed what the code requires for wheelchairs, if that's necessary. So even the dressing rooms, the toilets, everything is accessible in the building.
It's exactly the way, I mean, we were very accessible in our old space, and we often would move with movable chairs in that situation, but we would often rearrange those front chairs to accommodate wheelchairs and anybody who wanted to avoid. We just always asked when people were making reservations, if you need to, accessible seating, please tell us in advance, we will reserve for you. So totally accessible.
Now here's the hottest question of all. Will you bring back Christmas at the Bull and Bear?
Bull and Bush.
Bull and Bush, sorry. Well, it says Bull and Bear right there.
Well, we love the Christmas at the old Bull and Bush, and we also love Broadway Christmas Carol. For a number of years, we did a really, really fun holiday show, and I'm sure we will continue to do holiday shows once we're up and running. So yes, can't promise which one, but I know Katie Fly would be more than happy to bring her crowd, to direct Bull and Bush for us again. It's a fun show.
Will the chairs and the tiers have arms for senior citizens and handicapped?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they will also have arms where they can have a little signage that says somebody contributed a special amount of money to have their name on a chair. I already have some people who've already done that. So yes, there will be chairs with arms and arms that can accommodate a plaque with your name.
I was fascinated with your wine and cocktail bar. I think that looks really, really cool. Are you also going to provide any kind of food service with that?
We would like to. We're definitely, upgrading from the concession thing that we had before. And we've always had the ABC license we had always was for mixed drinks and wine and beer, and we just never knew how to make mixed drinks. So we're going to figure that out. We're upgrading. I mean, I think theaters in general are offering way more than they used to in terms of just house wine. And we certainly, we're very competitive with a lot of the regional theaters in the area. The people who are going to Arena Stage are coming to Metrostage. The people who go to Roundhouse are coming to Metrostage and vice versa. So we have to keep up with the Joneses. And so we have to have an upgraded concession area as we reopen this theater. First of all, we're in a fancier building. And secondly, it's just what people expect these days. So yes, we will. I would love to, and we have to figure out how to do this. I would love to offer a few opportunities for small plates, like tapas type small plate offerings that, we don't have a full kitchen. We won't even have a kitchen, but we'll have a sink and a refrigerator and an ice maker, I suppose. So all of this is to be determined, but yes, it's certainly been discussed. It's being considered. We'll figure out the most logical, best way we can do it, keeping the price reasonable and it being, an easy way to serve people, with limited choices, but certainly something, because they're going to have those special cafe tables to sit at and eat drinks. So might as well give them something to eat. So yes, the answer is yes.
Well, would you open your cafe when you're not having a production on?
Probably not, because that takes manpower that we can't afford, but it would certainly be open earlier. We would have to figure this out, but it would be open earlier before a show started and stay open after a show ended. So there are times, and it's really fun when people have had a grand time at the theater and they want to have one last drink in the lobby. We would love to have it seen as a space that is, people have always found our lobbies friendly and accessible and social, and we would want to continue that, to keep that feel and keep that opportunity so people would want to hang afterwards for a little bit. You know, we don't do 3-hour epic shows because I think that's asking a lot of an audience. So they'll be short enough, well, probably no more than 2 hours, I'm sure, but generally, and there's always, it wouldn't be so late that it wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility that somebody would want to stay and have a drink and keep talking, or talk to the actors. You know, our actors are always very accessible, and they come out into the lobby and, you know, chat with the audience. So the opportunities are really unlimited in terms of what we can offer in terms of entertainment, little food and beverage, meeting actors, talking to artists, having talkbacks after shows, which we've done it in many situations. So it's just, we just need a roof over our head, and that is what we need the money for. Give us a roof, we will give you amazing, amazing artists. I'm just going to say this because Olympia Dukakis just died. You know, she was at Metrostage directing a show for us, a world premiere a number of years ago, and I'll never forget. It was before Bastille came into that little restaurant. It was Charles's Cafe Mariana. And I was sitting at a table with Olympia Dukakis having lunch with some cast members. And all of a sudden, Olympia to my right says something. And I think, oh my gosh, she sounds just like Moonstruck. And it was very exciting because I love Moonstruck, the movie. But, you know, we've had some amazing, amazing artists in our space, and will continue to, because we offer really interesting work. And artists are always looking for interesting work. They're not getting paid as much as if they were working at Arena Stage, but they're getting, it's very important for you to know we are a professional theater. We have union actors, union directors. We are paying their health and pension, and it costs real money to do the work we do, but it's the commitment we made since 1984 that we were bringing professional theater, professional artists to.
Hi, neighbors. This is Jatrice. Carolyn, you have some questions in the chat, and I think some people are interested in learning how they can contribute. And someone wants to know how much are chairs, how much does it cost to put your name on a chair?
Okay.
And I can attest to you all as a board member and your neighbor that Carolyn, I've lived all over the country. I love theater since I was a child actress. And Carolyn has put together one of the most amazing theater experiences in this entire region. And so we are so proud here at Alexandria House to be a neighbor and a partner of Metrostage, and really, really appreciate you coming on. And so, Carolyn, will you share a little bit about how our partners and our neighbors at the Alexandria House can help contribute?
Thank you, Jatrice. That's so kind. I really appreciate your kind words. At this point of the way I've figured it out financially is, I think we have about 50 chairs, and it's $2,500 to get your name on a chair. And that's not a lot, because at most places it's $5,000. So we're trying to keep it within a realm of possibility that if you want your name on a chair, you can do it. I hope you can do it. So yes, thank you, Jatrice. We have $2,500 for a chair. We have really anybody who gives 1,000 or more is going to have their name on a wall someplace. There are a lot of walls, and we haven't figured out where that honorary wall is, but because we got a lot of production photos to put back on our wall, if you remember the production photos in the old theater. But we definitely want to recognize everybody who has helped us get this far, and who will help us get a roof over our head, as I said. Jatrice, did you ask another question or not?
No, there was, okay. I think there was, might be another one in the chat. Let me see here. Do you have a list of contributions?
Yeah.
2 of them were cost of the chair and contribution types. but we will get more material to you about the specifics of contributions. And I know that we're almost 6 months into the year, so it's not too early for you to start thinking about your end of the year donations and to start saving up for a chair or to have your name on that plaque. I see you, Brian, smiling. Jan, you're right underneath me. I'm being real quiet for you. I know you're going to donate, Jan. So neighbors, you don't have to run from me in the elevator, but I love Alexandria House. I've been here for 25 years and I love Carolyn and Metrostage, and you will too.
Thank you, Jatrice. What I would say, and it's kind of an interesting opportunity, there is this $60 million coming in to the city. What's it called?
American Recovery Plan.
Yes, America. And we are in communication with the city about the possibility of some of that money coming to Metrostage, because remember, we're part of the small area plan that was done about 3 years ago and approved unanimously by City Council. So we are designated the arts anchor. The area is designated the Arts and Cultural District. So really, there's every reason to believe that the city will be able to justify some of that money to us. What we have done is asked some board members and some others to write to the city, to write to Justin and the council and say that you think it's an appropriate use of some of the funds to send to Old Town North for the Arts District, and especially to Metrostage as the initial arts organization that will establish. Think of my concern for these past few years after it was named the Arts District is, how do people know it's an arts district? There's no arts. And so as soon as we have that beautiful glass open entrance, gallery walk, visible art, lighting, Metrostage name, it becomes the art, it comes for real, the Arts District, and it will attract other arts groups and lots more arts activity. So it's vital that we get established so the rest of the arts group. So the point being that their city has to be involved in some way. They approved us. They agreed to the fact that it should be an arts district. Now they just can't sit back and think I'm going to go out and do this on $25 contributions. So the point is, if Alexandria House, if the board of Alexandria House, if the individuals at Alexandria House would like to write the mayor and say, we are in favor of some of the funds from ARP going to the Arts District and to Metrostage to make this a reality, we would be ever so appreciative.
But wouldn't it be better for you to ask for a specific amount for a specific purpose, or to pay for part of the interior building?
We are, Nancy. We are consulting with Carrie Donnelly, who certainly has a hotline to council and to the mayor. He's one of our corporate advisors, as is John Porter. So we have some great people working with us, and right now we're collecting signatures from council and the mayor and others in support of Metrostage and in support of the city helping with this project. So I mean, sadly, the ARP is necessary because of our pandemic, but $60 million is an extraordinary gift to the city and can be used in many, many ways. And this would be a small amount to take from that pot of money that would really help us. What Carrie suggested was that we ask for a one-to-one match. So if they could give us a certain amount, we could match it. We did this with the city during the last capital campaign. Mel Bergheim, as many of you remember, he went to council and said, Metrostage needs the final 100,000 or whatever, and so they gave us something that was a 3-to-1 match, but they got involved. I think it's an appropriate use of city funds,
I
because
do too.
remember, we are bringing in people who are dining, people who are parking, people who are shopping, people who at hotels. We are a source of income for the city. So for the city to help us get up and running, back up and running, I don't think it's asking too much. One of the things that, one of the criteria for, or several of the criteria for the city, for this ARP grant was shovel ready. We are shovel ready. One other one was a community support of the project. We've got the community support. We've got the support because of the small area plan. So
And the Old Town North Alliance is going to support funding for the theater. And I'm also going to go out to various homeowners associations and try to get the boards to sign on that this is a priority project for our neighborhood.
Good.
that would be enormously helpful. That's you all, you all are taxpayers and property owners, and it makes a difference, and it could be,
So hopefully Alexandria House will sign on to the petition as an organization.
that would be great. Yeah,
There's a final comment here because we're running out of time, but someone wrote, "This was so interesting. Look forward to seeing the donation options." So I think you've got an opening, Carolyn, to put
Okay.
together your menu of sponsorship opportunities from
we will certainly
low to
share them.
high or high to low, however you like.
No, I need to post them on our website, and I will also get them to you, Agnes, to distribute or to.
What is the website?
Metrostage.org.
Okay. Thank you.
So we're going to have to bring this meeting to a close, but I just want to see
Yeah.
if my co-chair Brian has any comments to make. Oh, you're still muted, Brian.
I would only say that we really appreciate this great statements by Carolyn and Skip. Skip, I'd like to ask, do you realize how much you look like the opera leader in Seattle, Spike Jenkins?
Well, it's no coincidence that I'm a big opera fan, as Carolyn knows. We go to the Met every year, half for probably close to 30 years. But no, I don't know what he looks like. I'm going to have to go on the internet now.
Like
Oh, now you have to Google it.
I'd also like to say that our committee that asked you to do this is going to be meeting early next week, and we'll look at these options, and we think it's really important that we move forward with this, and we look at the options of the American Recovery Plan money and do what Agnes is saying, and make some proposals on our own as a committee, and we'll do that. So thank you very much for your help.
We
This has been
appreciate it
wonderful.
very much, very much.
Well, thank you, Carolyn and Skip, for joining us. And thank you, Alexandria House residents and neighbors, for listening in. We've recorded this. We'll figure out whether it can be posted on YouTube or somewhere else and let you know where you can find it and how to let your neighbors know about this conversation. And in a week or so, we'll let you know what's coming up in June. Thanks again.
Okay.
And actually, before we go, we really do have something that in the next couple weeks is going to be fabulous. We're working with a tango group called Quintango, and we have one of our finest actors. And it's going to be tango music, Pablo Neruda poetry in Spanish and English. We filmed the video down at Dykes Marsh, down at the river. And so it's music and it's video and it's beautiful poetry, and it's very exciting. So we have it's at the video editor right now, but that is listed on our website, and we'll put the YouTube link on as soon as we have it. But it's something we'll be on for indefinitely, I suppose. But it really, if you know Quintango, they're fabulous musicians and do wonderful work. And it's been really fun working with them. We're kind of collaborating, and it's a lovely collaboration. So. I always say, stay posted. There's something fabulous coming up. Just stay posted.
Wonderful.
Excellent. Thanks again, and good evening, everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
evening.
Everybody.